Liverpool Football Club are moving super mad. Super mad. Alexander Isak signs for Liverpool for 130 million Great British pounds. A Premier League record. A Premier League record that eclipses the previous record that was made by Liverpool earlier this window for Florian Wirtz, which was 116 million pounds. Liverpool are moving super mad. They're moving super mad. Fresh off the back, if you watch the preview to the Liverpool Arsenal game, I asked, is that the blockbuster tie of the season? The winners of that game, they're going to feel like they're going to win the league. Fresh off the back of getting 3 points against their supposed title rivals, that very night they announced Alexander Isak, and that's the breaking news this morning on transfer deadline day. Moving super crazy. After getting those 3 points, you go get the hottest striker in the league, along with Haaland. But I think, Haaland is straight about goals, but Isak, I think for many, if you ask which striker do you like most, I think many would say Alexander Isak off the rip. And one of the most talented strikers in the world, not just in goal scoring, but the way he plays, the way he is. And we'll touch on that in a little bit. But first of all, I really want to start with the saga, because this has been a long saga that's been happening throughout the transfer window. Alexander Isak this season has not touched the field, touched training for Newcastle United. He refused, you know, he refused and said, I ain't playing. I ain't playing because you gave me a verbal agreement. You gave me a verbal agreement that I could get this move this summer. And he was very unhappy when Newcastle were rejecting offers for his signature from Liverpool earlier this window. And you saw the statements that came out. Eventually, Isak put out a statement, and then Newcastle put out a statement saying that no agreement had been made, and that, unless the conditions that we want are going to be met, unless we find a replacement, you won't be leaving this football club, and you're contracted to stay, you know. Um, I mean, listen, my opinion on how Isak has behaved this window in this saga, I wasn't impressed at all. And the reason being is because I'm someone that I really do value, you know, the come up, people that have given you an opportunity, and more important, as a fan, your connection with the fans, the legacy you're gonna leave. And granted, the legacy he's gonna make at Liverpool, or he wants to make at Liverpool, is so much more greater for his life than whatever legacy he's made at Newcastle. But the legacy he left at Newcastle, winning them that Carabao Cup last season, their first trophy in 70 years, that means more to these Newcastle fans than he'll ever know. After that, they were putting huge tifos up for Alexander Isak. And now, listen, the Newcastle fans, they hate him. They hate him for the way that he's acted in this transfer window. Not turning up for training, refusing to play. And the reason why I'm not impressed by it is because I feel like you were at Real Sociedad before. You've got the transfer to Newcastle United, big Premier League team. These are the guys that have put you on the map. I'm screaming, you gotta be professional. If not so for the hierarchy, bite your tongue for the fans. Bite your tongue for the fans, so you're welcome back at St James's Park. So if you see Newcastle fans for the rest of your life, it will be with good feeling. because without Newcastle, you know, he doesn't get this move to Liverpool. He doesn't get this move to Liverpool. And I feel like he should have, as much as he could have still voiced his frustration and um, his intent to leave the football club, he could have still gone to training and he could have still gone to got played the games, maybe scored a goal, said bye to the fans. You know what I'm trying to say? But instead, he gets his move and ultimately he will say it is what it is with the Newcastle fans and he'll create his legacy with Liverpool. And I'm sure Liverpool will be, unless he gets a bigger move to maybe a Real or Barca, but in the future, but Liverpool where will be most likely where the majority of his golden years will be and the best parts of his career. So he'll feel like it is what it is, and I'm gonna create my legacy here. But it would be really nice for him to still have that good feeling with Newcastle and Newcastle fans. But he's just not gonna have that, and I feel like if he still went to training, still went to the games, he still would have got his move, in my opinion. I think he still would have got his move. I believe the way he went about this probably delayed it even further, because at the end of the day, he went on deadline day regardless. You know what I'm trying to say? So, and you look at, for example, Eberechi Eze, look at the way he handled himself, like a classman. Still went to training, still went to the games. He got robbed of a final game goal to say bye to the Palace fans with, and he got his last game. He got to say bye to the fans, and he moves to Arsenal with that good feeling from Crystal Palace fans, and he's always welcome back there at Selhurst Park. He's a legend there. Similarly, he won them the FA Cup last year. You know what I mean? So, not really a big fan of the way Isak has handled himself in this transfer window, but ultimately he gets what he wants. He got what he wanted. And of course, this was one of the main things that it was dependent on is Newcastle replacing him, you know. And they have signed Walter. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce his name too tough. Walter. Let me see. Let me see how to pronounce this guy's name. Walter. Walter. I don't know how to pronounce this. How do I pronounce Nick Waterman's name? Voltamade. Nick Voltamade is how you pronounce his name. So they signed Nick Voltamade for like 80 odd million, and they have now signed Wissa as well. And of course, Wissa also took a similar approach. Wissa took a similar approach, but I just don't think it holds the same type of weight at a club like Brentford in comparison to a club like Newcastle, especially when you've won them a trophy and you've actually created history with them. You know what I'm saying? And I do feel like, you know, as much as like Brentford fans will probably be a bit more understanding of the way Wissa's handled himself in comparison to Isak, as they're in the Champions League, Newcastle. Do you know what I'm saying? So Newcastle fans, especially with the project they got going on, Newcastle fans, they want to get to that next level. Obviously, they're not as big of a club as Liverpool, but that's how Newcastle fans are feeling. So it's not the same. I don't think it's the same situation as Wissa at Brentford. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was dependent on those transfers from Voltamade coming from Stuttgart and Wissa coming from Brentford. So, and those are two. I mean, we'll see how they fare. Obviously, Voltamade, he's got insane height, and Wissa, we can see that he's a goal scorer, a proven goal scorer in the Premier League from last season. So we'll see how Newcastle fare. Um, I will be doing a video on transfers in depth. It will be coming, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, he got his move. He got his move. Um, my thoughts on Isak as a player, like I mentioned earlier, terrific player, terrific striker. His goal scoring prowess, the way he sniffs goals out, chances out, the way he knows when to lash the ball, roof it, place it, you know, and then his feet. Wow, what a baller! He's a baller. He really has it all. Link up play, he can dribble past opponents, and he's an out and out striker, out and out nine. So super, super, super talented player. Shout out the boy JR. My boy JR, he's been screaming Isak from time, from when he was at Sociedad. He supports Arsenal. He wanted Isak at Arsenal from Sociedad days. So yeah, Isak is a terrific, terrific player. How does he fit in at Liverpool? Of course, he's gonna go straight in as their number one choice for their number nine. But what does this mean for Ekitike? You know what I'm saying? Does Ekitike now drift off to the left? Does that affect Cody Gakpo's position in the team? Because Gakpo just signed a new deal, and I think Gakpo will be a integral part for Liverpool this season. But how does that affect Ekitike? Will he move to the bench, or will he still be in the starting lineup and maybe Gakpo moves to the bench? We'll find out. We'll find out. But that's Alexander Isak, £130 million Premier League transfer record to aid Liverpool in their quest for trophies this season. But Liverpool, they weren't done there today, you know. They were not done there. Marc Guehi, 35 million package from Crystal Palace. We've been hearing about this one. Obviously, Konate to Real Madrid. There's been whispers of that. I think you've kind of seen that in Konate's performance at the start of the season. Of course, he had quite a good game against Arsenal. But they definitely wanted to reinforce in that area. I mean, Jarrell Quansah went to Bayer Leverkusen, so they needed another centre back, but they've gone for Marc Guehi, and I suppose to partner to really, because Liverpool's always had Van Dijk and someone. Maybe Marc Guehi is the piece, or was the piece to create a formidable partnership with Van Dijk, you know. And I can imagine the elation, Liverpool fans thinking, we're top of the league, and we've just signed Isak and Guehi on deadline day. Gosh, you know. And I will be doing a full video on Liverpool's um, transfer window, so look out for that. But they will be elated with Isak and Guehi on deadline day when we're already top of the league, when we've just beaten our competitors, got 3 points off them. Until the news that the deal has collapsed. Deal's collapsed. And Marc Guehi does not make it over to Anfield this transfer window, which is, I mean, it's like a win and a lose for both teams. A win for Palace, they get to keep their captain for a bit longer. A lose for Palace because he goes for free. If it's in the summertime, he goes for free. If it's in January, he goes for less than 35 million. And vice versa, for obviously a lose for Liverpool because they don't get their man. Sorry, they don't get their man. But a win for them because they're gonna get him for cheaper. Whether that's in January or they get him for free in the summer, they're gonna get him for cheaper. I don't think Marc Guehi was in a rush, to be fair. But hopefully I don't really want Liverpool to do well, so I'm saying hopefully he stays fit so he still gets that move. But for him, hopefully he stays fit and he still gets his move. You know, because football is funny like that. You never know what could happen. You never know what could happen. Um, and the deal collapsed because Igor, is it Julio? Igor Julio, probably Julio, isn't it? Igor Julio, who's currently playing at West Ham on loan from Brighton, was meant to be the replacement for Crystal Palace. But that deal had collapsed. Even though the medicals were all done on both parts, the medicals were done for Guehi and for Igor. But because Palace did not get their man, they then blocked the Guehi move. You know, so a little bit of a sour taste to the end of the transfer window for Liverpool fans, but boy, they'll be alright. Looks like they'll be just fine. So yeah, I mean, wow, Liverpool are really going out. I think their aims for the season now. Surely with the signing of Isak, it's not even just the league, it's the Champions League they're after for sure. For sure. You know, are they the favourites to win the Champions League now with the Isak signing? Comment down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. All of that. I'll see you on the next one.